Hey guys, it's Hubbard. Well, it's official. I have gone to work for G&P Trucking, went to orientation this week. It was a 2-day orientation, well, 3 days if you count the day that I went down and had my drug test. Drove down to Columbia, South Carolina on Monday, had my drug test, and that's all we did on Monday. Then went in on Tuesday and finished up about 3:30 on Wednesday and headed home. So wasn't a long orientation, but it was pretty thorough, I guess. I don't have anything really to base it off of, but I am official. There you go, on board with G&P. So looking forward to it. We of course, you do all the admin stuff, all the housekeeping, paperwork, benefits, going through all the benefits. We learn how to do the e-logs. They talk to us about TransFlow. That's our paperwork that we have to fax in, our bills of lading, the e-logs, keeping a paper log book as well. A lot of talk over safety. Had an operations guy come in and talk to us about operations, and had a fleet manager come in and talk to us. Also had the president of the company come in and talk to us. One of the things that, being new to the industry, not having a lot to go on except what you hear from other folks and the research that you try to do, you're still kind of flying blind to some extent. So when I went into each phase of this, my hope is that when I finish that phase, that I'm as happy and excited about my choices as I was when I made the choice, if that makes any sense. So phase 1 was school. Got through with school, was absolutely thrilled with the school I went to, thrilled with what I learned, and very positive. So, thumbs up on that one. Then there was going to making the choice on the company I go to, and the first step in that process, of course, is orientation. So when I went into orientation, my goal was to come out of orientation feeling as good or better about my decision as when I went in. I have to say I do. The company, the way the company is being run is very impressive to me, and here's how. I sat in class and I listened to several of the people after class, at break, at the hotel, folks from different places, and several of them complaining over the fact that the equipment looked old, wasn't as new as some places. And their responses were, well, so-and-so recruiter said they had all new equipment. Well, first of all, you're basing your decision on what a recruiter told you. Okay. Secondly, you're not looking at the big picture. So here's the reality with G&P. They have some older equipment. They sat in there and told us we've got some older equipment. Here's why we have older equipment. In 2007, we had no problem buying equipment, spending the money, keeping the equipment up to date. But as soon as the economy turned, we had to make a conscious decision to not go in more debt in that situation. Interest rates were going up, payments would have been higher, going into debt when your profit margins are going down, not smart business. So what they did was they held on to trucks longer than they normally would. They've got some with 800,000 miles on them. Okay, so what? So they made a conscious decision to squeeze all they could out of the equipment they got, tighten up their belts, be conservative, and save money and keep their debt as low as possible while we were going through the economic downturn. Now, some people were going, well, the other companies were buying equipment. And I said yes, and I would rather not work for another company that doesn't know how to strap up their belt when times get tough. For me, I was impressed with the business decisions and how they're being made, have been made with GMP. So, would I like a new truck? Absolutely. Who wouldn't? Do I understand why they've got some equipment that might be older? Absolutely I do. Do I believe they do everything to maintain that equipment well? And as the economy turns, will they buy new equipment? Of course they will. So for me, I look at it and go, if I were the president of the company in 2007, what would I do? I think I'd have done exactly what they did. I'd try to pull my belt tighter and conserve and save and not spend. I mean, I think some of us around this country need to learn that lesson, especially our government. So anyway, I was very impressed with that. Very humble. I'm going to put some personal traits on the company. I think it's very humble, a very hard-working, very dedicated, very focused, very faithful, loyal company. Now, I'm sitting here bragging and everybody's rolling their eyes going, yeah, you drank the Kool-Aid. No, I didn't. It's not a perfect company. And again, that's one of the things they emphasize. We're not a perfect company. We make mistakes. We're new at a lot of things that we're doing, and we're making mistakes, and we're trying to learn. Very impressed overall with the philosophy, the work ethic, the respect, big time respect for everybody. And one of the things that struck me most, the president came in and talked to us, and he said when he was hired to do the job he's doing by the owners, it's a privately held company, the family that owns the business, gave him his job description, and here's what they said. They said, don't embarrass the family name and be a good steward of our money. That resonated with me. I'm kind of taking that internal into my own job description as I go to work for them, and I'm going to try to not embarrass the family and to be a good steward of what they entrust to me. So very happy with the company and the choice I made. So I came out feeling better than when I went in, and I felt pretty good going in. So hooked up with my trainer, got the trainer I wanted. It's my new friend here in my hometown, who which will make it a lot easier on me, because when he's at home, I'll be at home. I won't have to sit in a hotel room because we live so far away. Good fit, good personality. Like the guy, he's a cool dude, and seems really willing and able to help educate me. So looking forward to getting started with that. We talked yesterday, and we're going to start on Monday. So what else? Looks like I changed my mind on one thing. I was looking at going to work for them out of their Greer terminal in South Carolina, thinking my assumptions were that I'd get more miles. Freight was better. They also have the runs to Laredo and into Texas, so I'd get longer runs. The sacrifice to that was I was going to have to drive. I don't know, I'm complaining about driving, but when you drive, when you cook for a living, you don't want to eat your own cooking all the time. So when you drive for a living, I'm making an assumption here, I'm not going to really want to get in my car and drive any more than I have to. So plus it just cuts into your weekend. But anyway, I'd have to drive 3 hours, 2.5 maybe, to the terminal each weekend that I was home. So that was a negative. But they've got a Charlotte terminal, which is only an hour away. And what I came to find out was they're actually splitting the two divisions, and without getting into all that, but just the situation out of Charlotte fits me just fine. So I will be, once I get done with training, I will be working out of the Charlotte terminal, and maybe, hopefully, working towards a dedicated route, such as my buddy who's going to be training me, which is what he does. So I'll be getting my foot in the door there, hopefully. Knock on wood. See, I don't have my Peterbilt hat on anymore. I got my GMP hat on. I want a tan one, like a khaki one. I think that would look real good on a khaki one. Plus, it wouldn't be near as hot on my bald head. So, anyway, gosh, I'm trying to think about details of things we did. The biggest thing I'm taking away is I was really amazed at some of the personalities and some of the negativity. They were, questioning everything this recruiter said, but yet giving credit to everything other recruiters said. And I have to tell you, this recruiter was more than honest, and the things they were hearing weren't being said, so their assumptions were wrong and later got corrected. Well, they're not going to pay us empty miles. I said, yeah, they are. That's what Roger said, they were going to pay us empty miles. Well, I went and double checked. Well, yeah, they're going to pay us empty miles too. It's the same. That's what I thought. I pulled out all my notes from when the recruiter came and talked to us. So all these things, and then we actually had one guy who got out there and he punched on his phone on his calculator the cents per mile and the average miles and what he would be making. And he goes, I can't live off that. And I thought to myself, and I bit my lip to keep from saying this, I'm like, you had that information. Again, I'm thinking this. You had that information before you accepted the offer and came to orientation. If you're so ignorant that you would make the decision to go to work there before calculating those numbers and knowing that fact, that's on you, brother. That's on you. What ended up happening, though, is all these questions that they were having, because you got several people in there talking to you and different personalities and different ways of saying things, and these people weren't listening closely, and they got confused with what was being said, and they started making assumptions. Well, the president of the company came in, and he laid it out, and the philosophy of the company, the history of the company, their attitude, and then took questions. And through this process, along with one of the operations directors, they got to the crux of their questions. In fact, I asked questions simply to get the person answering the question to answer questions on what these other guys were complaining about, such as the older equipment. I asked the president, I said, when we go to school and we got recruiters promising this and promising that, and obviously you guys are a smaller company and you've got some older equipment, how do you compete with that and it not be a negative for you? Well, that got him to explain the purpose behind why they stand where they do with the equipment and the age of the equipment and things of that nature, which totally satisfied these guys, because I kept my eye on them, and talked to them afterwards too. One of the guys kept going, well, this company's in debt. Well, obviously he doesn't understand much about business, because especially in today's age, it's almost impossible to run a business without being in debt. So I asked the question, because it's a privately held company, if they put out an annual report for the employees. Now, I knew the answer to this before I asked the question, and the answer is we don't, but if you want it, you can get it. So when I asked that question, though, it led him to explain the financial dynamics of the company and where they are, why they're there, and their thought process to get there, which made it easier for some of these other guys who were complaining and griping and making assumptions to get a bigger picture of how the business works. So, but I was amazed at that point, the lack of research, the lack of information before making a decision that some of these guys had made. Just simply, well, they told me it was, had a couple people tell me it was good company, so they went to work there. So anyway, sorry, I got off on a tangent griping about the dynamics in the class, but there was some negativity, and I sat at breakfast one morning with one of these guys who was just eat up with it. I said, listen, dude, you got a choice. I said, you can go into this with a good attitude, give them the benefit of the doubt, and try to find the positive in it versus the negative, and try to make it work. Or you can sit here and pick apart every little thing you don't like about this company and everything that might be different than what you think you were told, and that stuff's going to build up, and I can already see it in your eyes. You're stressing over this. You're not going to succeed like that. I said, here's your worst case scenario. You stay here 3 months. Give it a chance. You find out that it's not what you thought it was. It's not a good fit for you. Shake hands with them. Don't say anything bad about them. And go away. And go find what works for you. Worst case scenario. And in the meantime, through that process, you get a paycheck. It may not be as much as you want, but you still get a paycheck. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario is you have a good attitude. You give them the benefit of the doubt. You find the positive versus the negative. Think about why the negative is the negative and see if there's a logical reason for it being that way, and if there's things being done to make those negatives better. And you end up staying with the company and being happy with your job, happy with your company, and giving yourself the best chance for success. And he just kind of looked at me. I don't know if he got it or not. But anyway, great week. I'm excited. Got my ID card. That's cool. Never had an ID card before. Never needed one in the jobs I had. And what I always like is a company hat. Now, I got to get me some company shirts because I'm a shirt guy too. I don't care about all the pins they give out. So, but I like my hats. But I want a khaki one. I'm going to have to work on a khaki one. So, I'm piddling around today, goofing off, or as we say here in the South, or some of us anyway, gomming around. It just means piddling around, playing around. So kind of bored. Got some errands to run. I'm going to vote this week. We got early voting this week, so I'll get that out of the way. And do a little shopping. Because my trainer is dedicated, I'm not going to be gone more than I'd say more than 3 days at a time max, which is kind of cool. So I don't, I'm dipping my toes in the water. I'm not having to jump in the deep end all at once. So very excited. We'll get all of our ducks in a row. Go over there this weekend and drop off my stuff to put in his truck, so we don't have to do that early morning on Monday because he runs early. We'll be leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning, and when he comes back to town, it's usually mid to late afternoon, so 3, 4 o'clock maybe. So I like that schedule. I'm a morning person. So that's it. We're good to go. Hope everybody's having a great week. Excuse me. And please let me know if you have any questions, comments, thoughts. Help educate me, and give me likes if you likes. Give me comments and questions, and we'll keep this thing rolling. So have a great weekend. If my trainer doesn't mind, I'm going to do video from the truck and what's going on. If he does, not going to go there. I'm also going to find out from the company where they stand on that. I don't want to do anything underhanded or under the table without permission. I want to make sure that everybody's okay with any videoing that I do. I also want to be careful because if I'm doing that, they're going to see it. I mean, wouldn't you if you were the boss and you knew somebody was videoing? So I've got to be real careful what I say and know what I can say and can't say without jeopardizing things. Anyway, have a great weekend. Y'all be safe, and we'll talk to you next week.